Hey everyone, it's Naomi Wolf, and I had a little bit of a hiatus doing other work, but I am back with the Geneva Bible. Those of you who have been following along know that this is the Founder's Bible, and I've learned more about it since I last read it to you. I've learned that the Geneva Bible actually was part of a revolution in 1560. Not only was it being translated from the Hebrew by dissidents, but it was a time when the Bible was forbidden to be read in Italy and in France, in Rome and in France, and other European countries by the Catholic Church and by the state. They did not want people to know what was in this book. So 109876, let me know if you can see this, and I will just go ahead and start. So we ended the last reading with Abraham having buried his wife, Sarah. And so it's now, we're going to pick up with chapter 23. And he left her in the field in a cave that he bought. He buried Sarah, his wife, in the cave of the field of Machpelah over against Mamre, the same as Hebron in the land of Canaan. I'm just reading the end of the last chapter to remind you all. Thus both the field and the cave that is therein was made sure unto Abraham for a possession of burial by the Hittites. Oh, good. I can see everyone. Everyone can hear me. So this is chapter 24. Now, Abraham, and people have asked me, would you please read the side notes, which are so extraordinary and which did so much to make people feel at that time that they had an intimate relationship with God, and that God was, for those of you who are just joining us now, what's really been surprising and amazing to me about this Bible, so different from other translations that I've read, is how God, from my point of view, for the first time in my experience, is a very loving, reasonable character, not irrational, not distant, very close, very intimate, and always trying to, I mean, this is the only Bible I've read, except for excerpts in the Hebrew, in which the dynamic, the central dynamic makes sense, which is that this, as I said last time, God's never had humans, humans have never had God before, and he's trying to find a way to love them and nurture them, and they're trying to find a way to love him and listen to him, very much like any family. So now Abraham was old and stricken in years, and the Lord had blessed Abraham in all things. Therefore Abraham said unto his eldest servant of his house, which had the rule over all that he had, put now thine hand under my thigh. And this is a way that oaths would be sworn in antiquity. Actually, under my thigh is probably a metaphor for on my testicles. I mean, that is how oaths were sworn. And I will make thee swear by the Lord God of the heaven and God of the earth, that thou shalt not take a wife unto my son of the daughters of the Canaanites among whom I dwell. But thou shalt go unto my country and to my kindred, and take a wife unto my son Isaac. And the servant said to him, what if the woman will not come with me to this land? Shall I bring your son again unto the land from whence you came? To whom Abraham answered, beware that you bring not my son thither again. Don't bring my son there. The Lord God of heaven, who took me from my father's house and from the land where I was born, and that spake unto me, and that swore unto me, saying, unto thy seed will I give this land. He shall send his angel before thee, and thou shalt take a wife unto my son from thence. So Abraham is saying, I'm going to do exactly what God said. Nevertheless, if the woman will not follow thee, then shalt thou be discharged of this mine oath. Only bring not my son thither again. So I'm going to change the these and thous to yous. It's a little change, but it'll make the reading flow much more easily, much easier to understand. Nevertheless, if the woman will not follow you, okay, then you don't have to, you're no longer committed to this oath. Then the servant put his hand under the thigh of Abraham his master and swore to him for this matter. So the servant took 10 camels of the camels of his master and departed, for he had all his master's goods in his hand. And so he arose and went to Aram Naharaim, unto the city of Nahor. And he made his camels go to lie down outside the city by a well of water at evening, about the time that women come out to draw water. And he said, O Lord God of my master Abraham, I beseech you, send me good speed this day. That means help me, give me support, and show mercy unto my master Abraham. Lo, I stand by the well of water, whilst the men's daughters of the city come out to draw water. Grant that the maiden to whom I say, bow down thy pitcher, I pray thee, that I may drink. If she says, drink, and I will give your camels drink also, it may be she that thou hast ordained for thy servant Isaac, and thereby shall I know that thou hast showed mercy on my master. So he's saying, help me, God. This is a big responsibility. I'm not sure I'm going to know who the right young woman is here. All these young women are coming out of the city, and this is a very kind of characteristic detail of a pastoral society. They're coming to draw water for their flocks to drink and for the households. People didn't have running water. And so this servant, who's very conscientious, wants to get it right. And so he says, God, help me, show me who she is. The one who's, when I say, give me water, she says, I'll give you water and I'll draw water for your camel also. That's the one. Now, he had left speaking, and behold, Rebekah came out, the daughter of Bethuel, son of Milcah, the wife of Nahor, Abraham's brother, and her pitcher on her shoulder. And the maid was very fair to look upon, a virgin and unknown of man. That means she had not had intercourse with a man. And she went down to the well, Loki, and filled her pitcher and came up. Then the servant ran to meet her and said, let me drink, I pray you, a little water of your pitcher. And she said, drink, sir. And she hurried, and let down her pitcher upon her hand and gave him drink. And when she had given him drink, she said, I will draw water for your camels also until they have drunken enough. And she poured out her pitcher into the trough speedily and ran again unto the well to draw water, and she drew for all his camels. So the man wondered at her, he was amazed by her, and held his peace, he was quiet, to wit, whether the Lord had made his journey prosperous or not. He didn't know for sure. And when the camels had left drinking, the man took a golden habiliment, jewelry, of 1/2 shekel weight, and 2 bracelets for her hands of 2 shekels weight of gold. And he said, whose daughter are you? Tell me, I pray, is there room in your father's house for us to lodge in? And she said to him, I am the daughter of Bethuel, the son of Milcah, whom she bore unto Nahor. Moreover, she said unto him, we have litter also, and provender enough, and room to lodge in. And litter and provender are the bedding for camels and other animals that travel in a pastoral society, and provender is food for those animals. So she's saying, let us be hospitable to you. We have enough to take care of you and your animals. Moreover, and the man bowed himself and worshiped the Lord and said, blessed be the Lord God of my master Abraham, who has not withdrawn his mercy and his truth from my master. For when I was in the way, the Lord brought me to my master's brother's house. Pretty amazing. Out of all the houses in this strange city where this servant has come to find a wife for his master's son, the young lady happens to be a relative of Abraham's. And so he's really, saying thank you to God because he recognizes that this is not random. And the maiden ran and told them of her mother's house according to these words. Now Rebekah had a brother called Laban, and Laban ran unto the man to the well. For when he had seen the earrings and the bracelets in his sister's hands, and when he heard the words of Rebekah his sister, saying, Thus said the man unto me, then he went to the man, and lo, he stood by the camels at the well. And he said, Come in, blessed of the Lord. Wherefore, meaning why, standest you without? Why are you standing outside, seeing I have prepared the house and room for your camels? Then the man came into the house, and he unsaddled the camels and brought litter and provender for the camels and water to wash his feet and the men's feet that were with him. And we've talked before about how typical this is. No highways, no paved roads, no asphalt. People had dusty feet when they traveled. They were walking and riding camels. Afterward, the meat was set before him, but he said, I will not eat until I have said my message. And he, meaning Laban, said, Speak on, go ahead. Then he, the servant, said, I am Abraham's servant, and the Lord has blessed my master wonderfully, that he has become great. He's become wealthy and influential, for he has given him sheep and ewes and silver and gold and men servants and maid servants and camels and asses, meaning donkeys. And Sarah, my master's wife, has borne a son to my master when she was old, and unto him has he given all that he has. Now my master made me swear, saying, You will not take a wife to my son of the daughters of the Canaanites in whose land I dwell. Remember, Abraham is following Yahweh, but he's surrounded by an alien people, the Canaanites, and they are worshiping idols. But you go unto my father's house and to my kindred and take a wife unto my son. And I said unto my master, What if the woman will not follow me? Who answered me, The Lord before whom I walk, this is Abraham speaking, will send his angel with you and prosper your journey, and you will take a wife for my son of my kindred and my father's house. Then shall I be discharged of my oath when you come to my kindred. And if they give you not one, you shall be free from mine oath. So again, Abraham said, I will release you from the oath if the young woman will not come with you, or if her family does not want her to go with you. So I came this day to the well and said, O Lord, the God of my master Abraham, if you now prosper my journey which I go, behold, I stand by the well of water. When a virgin comes forth to draw water, and I say to her, Give me, I pray you, a little water of your pitcher to drink, and she says to me, Drink you, and I will also draw for your camels, let her be the wife which the Lord has prepared for my master's son. And before I had made an end of speaking in my heart, behold, Rebekah came forth, and her pitcher on her shoulder, and she went down to the well and drew water. Then I said unto her, Give me drink, I pray you. And she made haste and took down her pitcher from her shoulder and said, Drink, and I will give your camels drink also. So I drank, and she gave the camels drink also. Then I asked her and said, Whose daughter are you? And she answered, The daughter of Bethuel, Nahor's son, whom Milcah bore unto him. Then I put the habiliment, the jewelry, upon her face, and the bracelets upon her hands. And I bowed down and worshipped the Lord, and blessed the Lord God of my master Abraham, which had brought me the right way to take my master's brother's daughter unto his son. And this is very common in this time. They are cousins, but relatives who are this closely related on one side did marry. Now, therefore, if you will deal mercifully and truly with my master, tell me, and if not, tell me, that I may turn me to the right hand or to the left. Tell me what to do. Should I go back? Should I stay? Then answered Laban and Bethuel and said, This thing is proceeded of the Lord. We cannot therefore say unto thee neither evil nor good. It's completely up to God, they're saying. Behold, Rebekah is before you. Take her and go, that she may be your master's son's wife, even as the Lord has said. And when Abraham's servant heard their words, he bowed himself toward the earth unto the Lord. Then the servant took forth the jewels of silver and jewels of gold and raiment, clothing, and gave to Rebekah. Also unto her brother and to her mother he gave gifts. This is so specific, this is a household where there's no father that I see, but the brother is so brother-ish. He's kind of protective of his little sister or of his sister and bossy. And of course, Rebekah had very little social status at that time. So Laban is kind of dealing with this proposal with the servant, and it's just such a concrete image of a household. Afterwards they did eat and drink, both he and the men that were with him, and tarried. They stayed all night. And when they rose up in the morning, he said, "Let me depart unto my master." Then her brother and her mother answered, "Let the maid abide, stay with us at least 10 days. Then she shall go." They didn't want her to leave yet. They were going to miss her. But he said unto them, "Hinder you me not. Seeing the Lord has prospered my journey, send me away that I may go to my master. Don't delay me, please. God has sent me. I need to get home." Then they said, "We will call the maid and ask her consent." Very modern for the time. And they called Rebekah and said unto her, "Will you go with this man?" And she answered, "I will go." So they let, very courageous young lady. So they let Rebekah, their sister, go, and her nurse, with Abraham's servant and his men. So she was attended by a servant of the household. And they blessed Rebekah and said unto her, "You are our sister, grow into thousands, and your seed possess the gate of his enemies." Then Rebekah arose and her maids and rode upon the camels and followed the man, and the servant took Rebekah and departed. Now, I love this scene. Now Isaac came from the way of Be'er Lachairoi, for he dwelt in the south country. And Isaac, Yitzchak, went out to pray in the field toward the evening, who lifted up his eyes and looked, and behold, the camels came. Also Rebekah lifted up her eyes, and when she saw Yitzchak, she lighted down from the camel. For she had said to the servant, "Who is yonder man that comes in the field to meet us?" And the servant had said, "It is my master." So she took a veil and covered her. And the servant told Isaac all things that he had done. Afterward, Isaac, Yitzchak, brought her into the tent of Sarah, his mother, and he took Rebekah, and she was his wife, and he loved her. So Yitzchak was comforted after his mother's death. Again, such a concrete image and such a romantic scene. I mean, it's such a love story film scene. The young bride has come to a new country or a new region. She's about to meet people she's never met before. She's about to marry a man she's never seen before. And she sees a young man across the field. And I love how they described he lifted up his eyes and behold, there she was. And they're both obviously, excited and thrilled and happy. And then she covers her face. And again, this is a very traditional characteristic kind of gesture of antiquity. You still see it in countries in the Middle East. Unmarried ladies especially covered their faces as a sign of modesty. Now Abraham had taken, this is chapter 25, Abraham had taken him another wife called Keturah, which bore him Zimran and Yokshan, and Medan and Midian and Ishbak and Shua, and Yochan begat Sheva and Dedan, and the sons of Dedan were Ashurim and Letushim and Leumim. Also the sons of Midian were Ephah and Epher and Hanoch and Chabidah and Elda'ah. All these were the sons of Keturah. And Abraham gave all his goods to Yitzchak. But unto the sons of the concubines which Abraham had, Abraham gave gifts and sent them away from Yitzchak his son, while he yet lived, eastward to the east country. So just a pause to say, this shows that Abraham's family life went on after Sarah's death. He, and again, very typical of the time, not considered immoral at all, took a lot of concubines and had sons with them. But the story is stressing the sons were not the lineage, right? The important lineage that descends from Abraham that God designated. It is Isaac who is carrying on the lineage. And these writers believe that the lineage went straight to Jesus Christ, of this family, that these are the ancestors of Yeshua, Jesus Christ. So Abraham sent his other sons eastward to the east country, another country. And this is the age of Abraham's life, which he lived 175 years. Then Abraham yielded the spirit and died in a good old age, an old man and of great years, and was gathered to his people. And his sons, Yitzchak and Ishmael, buried him in the cave of Machpelah in the field of Ephron, son of Zohar, the Hittite, before Mamre. And that cave still exists. You can visit it. Which field Abraham bought of the Hittites when Abraham was buried with Sarah, his wife. And after the death of Abraham, God blessed Yitzchak, his son, and Yitzchak dwelled by Ber Lachai Roi. Now these are the generations of Ishmael, Abraham's son, whom Hagar the Egyptian, Sarah's handmaid, bore unto Abraham. And these are the names of the sons of Ishmael, name by name, according to their kindreds. The eldest son of Ishmael was Nebaiot, then Kedar, and Adbeel, and Midsam, and Mishma, and Duma, and Mapha, Hadar, and Tema, Yetur, Nafich, and Kedema. These are the sons of Ishmael, and these are their names, by their towns and by their castles, to wit, 12 princes of their nations. And these are the years of the life of Ishmael, 137 years, and he yielded his spirit and died, and was gathered unto his people. And they dwelt from Havilah unto Shur, as is towards Egypt, as thou goest to Ashur. Ishmael dwelt in the presence of all his brethren. Likewise, these are the generations of Yitzchak, Abraham's son. Abraham begot Yitzchak, and Yitzchak was 40-year-old when he took Rebekah to wife, the daughter of Betuel, the Amorite of Padan Aram, and sister to Laban, the Aramite, Aramite in both cases. And Yitzchak prayed unto the Lord for his wife because she was barren. And the Lord was entreated of him, and Rebekah, his wife, conceived. But the children strove together within her. They fought within her. Therefore she said, seeing it is so, why am I thus? Wherefore she went to ask the Lord. She didn't understand why these two children, these twins, were struggling inside of her. And she asked God. And the note is, for that is the only refuge in all our miseries. I love these side notes. And the Lord said to her, 2 nations are in your womb, and 2 manner of people shall be divided out of your bowels, and the one people shall be mightier than the other, and the elder shall serve the younger. Therefore, when her time of deliverance was fulfilled, behold, twins were in her womb. So he that came out first was red, and he was all over as a rough garment, and they called his name Esau. And afterwards came his brother out, and his hand held Esau by the heel. Therefore his name was called Yaakov. Now Yitzchak was 80 years old, meaning 60, when Rebekah bare them. And you can hear the echoes, right, with the previous generation, the worry about infertility on the part of Rebekah, just as Sarah worried about her ability to conceive. The very elder nature of these parents at the time of conception, according to our idea of what a normal lifespan is, and this the struggle between the 2 lineages. And the boys grew, and afterwards, therefore his name was called Yaakov. Now it's okay. And the boys grew, and Esau was a cunning hunter and lived in the fields, but Yaakov was a plain man and dwelt in tents. And Yitzchak loved Esau, for venison was his meat, but Rebekah loved Yaakov. Family drama. Now Yaakov soaked pottage, which is a kind of soup or stew, and Esau came from the field and was weary. And Esau said to Jacob, let me eat, I pray you, of your pottage so red, for I am weary. Therefore his name was called Edom, which means red. And Yaakov said, sell me even now your birthright. Sell me your inheritance. And Esau said, lo, I am almost dead. What is then this birthright to me? I am going to die if you don't feed me. Take it. Yaakov then said, swear to me even now. And he sware to him and sold his birthright unto Yaakov. Then Yaakov gave Esau bread and pottage of lentils, and he did eat and drink and rose up and went his way. So Esau contemned his birthright. And the note, again, these are some of those moments where you read the Old Testament, you think, that's really not very nice. What am I supposed to take away from this? And the note says, the reprobate esteems not God's benefits, except they feel them presently, and therefore they prefer present pleasures. So that's criticizing Esau, and treating it as an allegory. And it also says, thus the wicked prefer their worldly commodities to God's spiritual graces, but the children of God do contrary. So these difficult, kind of disturbing, moments, these commentators saw them as allegorical. And I think these allegories kind of make sense. Chapter 26, only a couple more chapters, and there was a famine in the land besides the first famine that was in the days of Abraham. Wherefore, thus, Yitzchak went to Abimelech, king of the Philistines, unto Gerar. For the Lord appeared unto him and said, go not down into Egypt, but abide, stay in the land which I will show unto you. And the note says, God's providence always watches to direct the ways of his children. Dwell in this land, and I will be with you, and I will bless you. For to you and to your seed I will give all these countries, and I will perform the oath which I swore unto Abraham your father. Also, I will cause your seed to multiply as the stars of heaven, and I will give unto your seed all these counsels, and in your seed shall all of the nations of the earth be blessed. Because that Abraham obeyed my voice and kept mine ordinance, my laws, my commandments, my statutes, and my laws. And the note says he commends Abraham's obedience because Isaac should be the more ready to follow the like. For as God made this promise of his free mercy, so does the confirmation thereof need of the same fountain, proceed of the same fountain. So it's showing the blessing of God descending several generations, so long as these patriarchs keep God's commandments. And God is very clear about this. It's an if, it's an either or. I will bless you, but there's a reason. You need to keep my ordinance, my order, my commandments, my statutes, and my laws. So Yitzchak dwelt in Gerar, and the men of the place asked him of his wife, and he said, she is my sister. And you hear this echo again. This happened with Abraham and Sarah. For he feared to say, she is my wife, lest, said he, the men of the place should kill me because of Rebekah, for she was beautiful to the eye. So after he had been there a long time, Abimelech, king of the Philistines, looked out at the window, and lo, he saw Yitzchak sporting with Rebekah, his wife. Then Abimelech called Yitzchak and said, lo, she is of a surety your wife, and why saidest thou, she is my sister? To whom Yitzchak answered, because I thought this, it may be that I shall die for her. And Abimelech said, why hast thou done this unto us? One of the people had almost lion by thy wife, so shouldst thou have brought sin upon us. And Abimelech charged all his people, saying, he that touches this man or his wife shall die the death. Afterwards Yitzchak sowed in that land and found in the same year 100-fold by estimation, and so the Lord blessed him. So he was doing well. His flock was improving in numbers. And the note says, whereby we see the fear and distrust is found in the most faithful. So even the perfect ones have bad moments of doubt. And the note says, or showing some familiar sign of love whereby it might be known that she was his wife, about Rebekah. And the other note says, in all ages, men were persuaded by God's vengeance, that God's vengeance should light upon wedlock breakers. Don't commit adultery, they are reminding you. And the man waxed mighty and still increased till he was exceeding great, for he had flocks of sheep and herds of cattle and a mighty household. Therefore the Philistines had envy at him, insomuch that the Philistines stopped and filled up with earth all the wells which his father's servants digged in his father Abraham's time. And the note is, the malicious envy always the graces of God in others. Then Abimelech said to Yitzchak, get thee from us, for thou art mightier than we a great deal. Therefore Yitzchak departed thence. He left and pitched his tent in the valley of Gerar and dwelt there. And Yitzchak, returning, digged the wells of water which they had digged in the days of Abraham his father. For the Philistines had stopped them after the death of Abraham, and he gave them the same names which his father gave them. Yitzchak's servants then digged in the valley and found there a well of living water. But the herdmen of Gerar did strive. They fought with Yitzchak's herdmen, saying, "The water is ours." Therefore called he the name of the well Esek, because they were at strife with him. And to this day, Esek means an argument or a conflict. Afterwards, they digged another well and strove for that also. They fought over it, and he called the name of it Sitnah. Then he removed thence, he left, and digged another well, for which they strove not. Therefore he called the name of it Rechovot, and said, because the Lord has now made us room. Rechovot means streets, roads. We shall increase upon the earth. So he went up thence to Beersheba. And if you look at a map of Israel, Beersheba is just at the edge of the Negev. It's in desert territory now. And the Lord appeared unto him the same night and said, I am the God of Abraham, your father. Fear not, for I am with you, and will bless you and multiply your seed for my servant Abraham's sake. Then he built an altar there and called upon the name of the Lord, and there spread his tent, where also Isaac's servants digged a well. And the note says, God assures Isaac against all fear by reminding him of the promise made to Abraham to signify that he would serve none other than God. So building an altar signifies that he would serve none other God but the God of his father Abraham. I love how when God shows up, he's like, okay, you're human, I'm not human. Fear not. It's like when you approach a puppy and they're really scared and shy and they don't know what's going to happen, and you have to like let them smell your hand or whatever. Like, fear not, it's going to be okay, nothing bad is going to happen. Then came Avimelech to him from Gerar, and Ahuzah, one of his friends, and Fichol, the captain of the army, to whom Yitzchak said, wherefore, why come you to me, seeing you hate me and have put me away from you? Who answered, we saw certainly that the Lord was with you, and we thought thus, let there be now an oath between us, even between us and you, and let us make a covenant with you. You shall do us no hurt, as we have not touched you, and we have done unto you nothing but good, and sent you away in peace. You now, the blessed of the Lord, do this. Then he made them a feast, and they did eat and drink, and they rose up betimes in the morning and sware one to another. Then Isaac let them go, and they departed from him in peace. So this is diplomacy. They're negotiating a peace treaty, basically, between these two groups of warring tribes, essentially. But, one of the tribes has seen that this very powerful God is with Isaac and his group. And that same day, Isaac's servants came and told him of a well which they had digged, and said unto him, we have found water. So he called it Sheva. Therefore, the name of the city is called Beersheba unto this day, 7 wells. So when Esau was 40 years old, he took to wife Judith, the daughter of Beeri and Hittite, and Bashemat, the daughter of Elon and Hittite also. And they were a grief of mind to Isaac and Rebekah, presumably because they were not following Yahweh, they were following other idols. So are you guys okay for a little bit more, or shall we stop there? Let's see how everyone's doing. It's 8:35. Let's do a little bit more. And this time around, I'm not pausing to read how poorly the Jerusalem Bible was translated, because maybe it's more important to just read the good translation. But I will be stopping to look up one or two Hebrew words at the end and answer your questions, of course. Chapter 27. And when Yitzchak was old and his eyes were dim so that he could not see, he called Esau, his eldest son, and said unto him, my son. And he answered him, I am here. And he said, behold, I am now old, and know not the day of my death. Wherefore now I pray you, take your instruments, your quiver and your bow, and get you to the field, that thou mayest take me some venison. Then make me favorite meat, such savory meat, such as I love, and bring it to me that I may eat, and that my soul may bless you before I die. He's talking to Esau. Now Rebekah heard when Yitzchak spoke to Esau his son. And Esau went into the field to hunt for venison and to bring it. And the note says, the carnal affection which he bare to his son made him forget that which God spake to his wife. In other words, he loved Esau, but Esau was not the son that God had designated for his purposes. So he's forgetting what his obligation is. Then Rebekah spoke unto Yaakov her son, saying, behold, I have heard your father talking with Esau your brother, saying, bring me venison and make me savory meat that I may eat and bless you before the Lord before my death. Now therefore, my son, hear my voice in that which I command you. Get you now to the flock and bring me from thence 2 good kids of the goats, that I may make pleasant meat of them for your father, such as he loves. And the note says this subtlety is blameworthy because she should have waited till God had performed his promise. In other words, sometimes we meddle instead of waiting for God's schedule. And so the note says that is blameworthy. She should have waited. Then you shall bring it to your father, and he shall eat, to the intent that he may bless you before his death. But Jacob said to Rebekah his mother, behold, Esau my brother is rough, and I am smooth. My father may possibly feel me, and I shall seem to him to be a mocker. It's like I'm making fun of him. So shall I bring a curse upon me, and not a blessing. But his mother said unto him, upon me be thy curse, my son. Only hear my voice, and go and bring me them. So he went and set them and brought them to his mother. And his mother made pleasant meat, such as his father loved. And Rebekah took fair clothes of her elder son Esau, which were in her house, and clothed Yaakov, Jacob, her younger son. And she covered his hands and the smooth of his neck with the skins of the kids of the goats. So she's dressing him like his brother. And of course, his dad is blind. Jacob's dad is blind, and she's planning to trick her husband. And when he came to his father, he said, my father, who answered, I am here. Who are you, my son? And Jacob said to his father, I am Esau, your firstborn. And he's lying. I have done as you badest me, as you told me. Arise, I pray you, sit up and eat of my venison, that your soul may bless me. Then Isaac said unto his son, how have you found it so quickly, my son? Who said, because the Lord your God brought it to my hand. And the note says, although Jacob was assured of this blessing by faith, yet he did evil to seek it by lies, and the more because he abuses God's name thereunto. Wow, these reformers did not mince words. And again said Yitzchak unto Jacob, come near now that I may feel thee, my son, whether thou be that my son Esau or not. And Jacob came near to Yitzchak his father, and he felt him and said, the voice is Jacob's voice, but the hands are the hands of Esau. And the note says, this declares that he suspected something, yet God would not have his decree altered. So no matter what we do, there's limited range to upset God's intentions. For he knew him not, he did not recognize him, because his hands were rough as his brother Esau's hands, wherefore he blessed him. Again he said, are you that my son Esau? Who answered, yeah. Then said he, bring it me hither, and I will eat of my son's venison, that my soul may bless you. And he brought it to him, and he ate. Also he brought him wine, and he drank. Afterwards, it's a very sad scene. Afterwards his father Yitzchak said unto him, come here now, and kiss me, my son. And he came near and kissed him. Then he smelled the savor of his garments and blessed him and said, behold, the smell of my son is as the smell of a field, which the Lord has blessed. God give you therefore of the dew of heaven and the fatness of the earth and plenty of wheat and wine. Let people be your servants and nations bow unto you. Be Lord over your brethren, and let your mother's children honor you. Cursed be he that curses you, and blessed be he that blesses you. And when Isaac had made an end of blessing Jacob, and Jacob was from thence gone out from the presence of Yitzchak his father, then came Esau his brother from his hunting, and he also prepared savory meat and brought it to his father and said unto his father, let my father arise and eat of his son's venison, that your soul may bless me. But his father Yitzchak said unto him, who are you? And he answered, I am your son, even your firstborn son, Esau. Then Yitzchak was stricken with a marvelous great fear and said, who and where is he that hunted venison and brought it to me? And I've eat of all before you came, and I've blessed him, and therefore he shall be blessed. And the note said, in perceiving his error by appointing his heir against God's sentence pronounced before. So he realizes he's violated the promise, the commitment he made to God. Very upsetting. When Esau heard the words of his father, he cried out with a great cry and bitter, out of measure, and said unto his father, bless me, even me also, father, my father, who answered, your brother came with subtlety, with deceit, and has taken away your blessing. Then he said, was he not justly called Yaakov? For he has deceived me these 2 times. He took my birthright, and lo, now he has taken my blessing. Also, he said, have you not reserved a blessing for me? It's so sad and so true to family dynamics always. And Yitzchak answered and said unto Esau, behold, I have made him your lord, and all his brothers have I made his servants. Also with wheat and wine have I furnished him, and unto you now, what shall I do, my son? Then Esau said unto his father, have you but one blessing, my father? Bless me, even me also, my father. And Esau lifted up his voice and wept. Oh, so sad. Then Yitzchak his father answered and said unto him, behold, the fatness of the earth shall be thy dwelling place, and you will have of the dew of heaven from above. And by your sword shall you live, and shall be your brother's servant. But it shall come to pass, when you shall get the mastery, that you shall break his yoke from your neck. Therefore Esau hated Jacob, because of the blessing wherewith his father blessed him. And Esau thought in his mind, the days of mourning for my father will come shortly, then I will slay my brother Jacob. And it was told to Rebekah of the words of Esau, her elder son. And she sent and called Jacob, her younger son, and said unto him, behold, your brother Esau is comforted against you, meaning to kill you. Now therefore, my son, hear my voice. Arise and flee you to Haran, to my brother Laban, and tarry with him, stay with him a while, until your brother's fierceness be assuaged, till he calms down, until your brother's wrath turn away from you, and he forget the things which you have done to him. Then will I send and take thee from thence. Why should I be deprived of you both in one day? What a lot of bad decisions. Also Rebekah said to Isaac, I am weary of my life for the daughters of Het. If Yaakov take a wife from the daughters of Het, like these of the daughters of the land, what availeth it of me to live? And I'm going to pause there, right in the middle of the drama. And I just want to look up one section in the Hebrew. It's chapter 28, Genesis 28:14 in the Hebrew. I'll put this away. And let's see what it says. It's the covenant. Genesis 28. Sorry to call it up while you're waiting, but it's 28:14. Here we are. So the Hebrew is, this is in the next chapter, which we'll get to in our next reading. Jacob has a dream, and he has a dream of a ladder set on the ground, and it reaches to heaven, and behold, the angels of God are ascending and descending upon it. And behold, the Lord was standing over him, and he said, I am the Lord, the God of Abraham your father, and the God of Isaac. The land upon which you are lying to you, I will give to your seed, and your seed shall be as the dust of the earth, and you shall gain strength westward and eastward and northward and southward, and through you shall be blessed all the families of the earth, and through your seed. And behold, I'm with you, and I will guard you wherever you go, and I will restore you to this land, for I will not forsake you till I have done what I have spoken concerning you. And we'll go over it in the next reading, but and Loki's joining us because I'm alone in the house. So this is how he doesn't get scared of all the bears and coyotes and wolves out there. And so I just want to read the Hebrew and see what that covenant language is, because it recurs over and over. And it's, and again, especially meaningful for these commentators because the covenant always in their reading prefigures Jesus as the Messiah. And so it says, Adonai, Vihine Adonai nitzav elav, vayomer ani Adonai. And here God was standing above him and said, I am God, Elohei Avraham, the God of, and that's plural, Elohim is plural, Elohei Avraham, God of Abraham, Avicha, your father, Velohei Yitzchak, and the God of Isaac, Haaretz Asher, the land which Ata Shochev Alav, on which you are lying, you're lying on it, Lecha Etanena, I will give it to you, Ulezarecha, and to your seed. Zar is a seed. It's still a seed. It's still a seed to this day. And that means descendants. And this is the next section. And your seed shall be as the dust of the earth. Vehaya, and it would be zarecha, your seed, ka'afar, like the dust, haaretz, of the earth. Uparsata, and you will yama, and you will you'll gain strength toward the ocean. V'kedma, yama v'kedma, they're translating it westward and eastward. Westward toward the ocean, eastward toward not the ocean. V'tzafna v'negba, and toward the north and to the south. Tzafona v'negba. Tzafon means north, and Negev, Negba, means south. And it's still called the Negev to this day. Remember, we said Beersheba is in the Negev. Veniv rechu becha, and they will be blessed in you. Kol mishpachot ha'adama, all the families of the earth. U bezarecha, and in your seed. And I just, before I finish with this little snippet of Hebrew, I just want to try to explain the meaning of the grammar here of nivrechu, because it's so special. And it's kind of at the heart of what we're finding here in reading this Bible and reading the Hebrew. It's like subjunctive. It's not you will bless them, like, oh, I am blessing you, you're less than me. It's like nivrechu. It's like in within you, through you, by aligning with you, by being close to you, all the families of the earth will be blessed. And again, I can't stress enough, these reformers, these later Puritans, they read this language as specifically saying this all started with this tribe of wanderers, the children of Israel, in this desert, in this part of the world. But from the very beginning, there was a promise that God made over and over, that through this lineage, all the families of the earth eventually will be blessed. And that means everyone. It's not leaving out Hagar. It's not leaving out Ishmael. It's not leaving out the stranger. It's not leaving out the manservant or the maidservant. All the families of the earth, kol mishpachot ha'adama, will be blessed. And so, by the way, Adama is a beautiful word. It means, as I may have mentioned in the past, both earth, and Adom, as we saw earlier, means red, and like red earth. And it also means Adama. Adam is man, human being, and that from that we get Adam, the first man. So Ben Adam means son of man. All these have the same root. In Hebrew, every verb has a shoresh, which is a root of 3 letters, and you conjugate everything from from the basis of those 3 letters. And so you can see very clearly, more clearly than in English, how concepts like Adam, Adom, Adama are related to each other. So that is the reading for today. We'll stop there. It's 8:51, and let's see if you've got, I can see all your comments now, which is lovely. Heidi says, God bless you for your strength and boldness. Lots of people are saying nice things. Thank you. Andy is thanking me. Debbie Prescott is surprised it showed up. Joe McKessie says that was epic. Elizabeth Huss says this is lovely. We need more of this. And does anyone know how long she's been doing these Bible studies? Honestly, this is my 4th or 5th, so we've just begun. And Richard Beck says, interesting, we need a return, especially in the context of a culture literally hell-bent on destroying all dualities of good and evil. I could not agree with you more. And those of you who are just coming in now, I began these readings because I'm working on the Pfizer documents with Amy Kelly and this team of 3,500 medical and scientific experts, and we're seeing a Holocaust. I mean, we're seeing the proposed destruction of the human race by a handful of evil people. And it was so overwhelming that I sort of thought I have to read the Old Testament because I don't know what to do. And there's got to be an answer there. And I think I don't know if we found all the answers, but I'm feeling better. It's not the first time humans have really messed up. And there's very clear instructions for what you do when that humanity is about to be annihilated. Humans have really messed up and lost God. Very clear direction from the very beginning. Joan Brothers says, thank you for sharing God's word, praying people come to him. The time is drawing nigh. Lots of hearts. That's so sweet. Oh, nice. Debbie Prescott says, fear not is said over 365 times in the Bible. So it's important. It must be. That is good to know. And Peter Loken may be referring to me, but doesn't matter. Michael Howell says, good for you, showing everybody what it means to be a light onto the nations. Well, I'm not. This text is, but thank you. And Michael Bianchino asks reasonably, hasn't religion done enough damage in the world? So that's a fair question. And absolutely, from the very beginning, God's texts were perverted for human purposes, and God's directions were perverted for human purposes. I think that's the human condition. But I guess what I don't consider this religion. Where actually Jews are forbidden to proselytize. So I'm not proselytizing. I'm not even saying, I'm just reading this text because I want to know what's in it. And because I was so blown away by the translation being so different from other translations, and the difference consistently, for those of you who are just coming now, later translations make God meaner and make intermediaries more important and make humans seem like pathetic, disgusting, wretched refuse, when this text and the Hebrew has a completely different set of relationships in which no one needs an intermediary. So that's why I say this is not about religion, because this text says over and over, you don't need an intermediary. God is right there to talk to. Go talk to God. When you're a mom and you don't know what to do, go talk to God. Or when you're having like a stomach ache because your twins are fighting, go talk to God. Or when your master and your servant has sent you out to get a young woman as a bride and you don't know which one she is, go talk to God. The intermediaries are not important in this book so far. And the message of this book is like not about religion. I know that sounds paradoxical. It's about, certainly God so far has given instructions about worship, and I guess you could say it's about religion, but it's much, much, much more, in my interpretation so far, about God giving humans guidance so that they don't mess up, so that they can be blessed and can be intimate with him. And I think humans kind of pervert that into all kinds of elaborations of religion that are really not about God's very basic instructions. We'll get to them in Exodus, 10 of them, not a lot, that help you be close to God and be blessed. And Debbie Prescott says, following Jesus is a relationship with him, not man-made religion. And Karen says governments kill more people than religion. That's interesting. I was going to say, not advocating for religion per se, because I'm really being very kind of hands off all of that in these readings, and I tried to in my life as well. It is true that religions have caused all kinds of harm. I mean, the scriptures were used to massacre my people in the Inquisition, and at other times. But so is atheism. Look at Stalin, look at Hitler, look at Mao. So I don't think either religion or atheism has, kind of wins the who's used to hurt people more. And I think we should wrap it up there. This was a really interesting conversation. I'm sorry that I can only read your comments and not hear your voices, but I hear your voices in the digital space that we're in, and I'm grateful to you. So let's wrap it up now by saying thank you. And I won't probably be able to do this tomorrow night because I'm going to DC for the book party for the Pfizer book. Please get it. It saves lives, the War Room Daily Clout Pfizer Documents book. But I will pick up again by Thursday night at the latest, and then I will try to do it every night until we get through the Old Testament and the New Testament and learn what we learn along the way. And let's say goodnight, Loki. Look at how incredibly cute this dog is. Thank you so much, everybody. Have a really sweet, wonderful night. Thank you.